Hey there, everyone. Welcome back. Where School is back in session. I'm so pleased to have with us Arianna and Soleil. So, welcome both of you. You're going to be our guest teachers for today. Hello,
Wonderful.
hello.
Hi.
So, can
Hi.
you please just share the story, short story or long, however it comes out, of how you both came to do this work together and why emotional intelligence boundaries are such a big part of your mission?
Nice. We are the co-founders of Equality Education. And I think it was super serendipitous how Ariana and I came to be as co-founders and as friends because my husband is owns an agency and Ariana was a team member at the time, but we kept crossing paths but never actually met. And then we met at an event and we found out that we lived around the corner from each other. We
Mm.
became workout buddies and we had deep conversations about really about emotional intelligence, psychology, big life lessons. And we thought, why aren't we teaching individuals in a fun and creative way? And that's how Quality Education came to be. The Quality Education is a company that teaches about emotional intelligence, personal development skills, and fun interactive workshops and workbooks and work with parents and students and staff in the schools because emotional intelligence is such a key skill on how to live a fulfilled life. We often know emotions as such an internal experience and may not recognize how much it plays a part or interacts with the outside world and what we are creating on a day-to-day basis. So we help people master their emotions, master how to communicate and how to effectively build strong relationships and even create boundaries and protect their peace and protect their needs or know your needs so that you can live a more fulfilled life and embrace your greatness.
Awesome. I absolutely love the work that you all do. It's so aligned with what I do, but I love that you're doing it with people at different levels, especially those giving them the foundation for the little ones, as you call them, that you work with as well. If we're speaking about the woman that might be listening to this episode today and the women that I tend to work with as part of my coaching, so many women that I work with or just that I speak to, whether they're fellow business owners, whether they're just working a normal career, whether it's in capacity of being a mom or a sister or in a relationship, so many women struggle to set boundaries, not because they don't know what they want, but most of the time, for one reason or another, it's because they feel guilty saying no. Why do you think that guilt shows up so strongly when women try to set boundaries?
And that's interesting. I love that you're focusing in on that particular piece. Because I think sometimes we'll have conversations with women who actually don't know what they want. They've never taken the time to, to sit and ask themselves. They've been in people pleasing, doing what other people want mode. And people who do know what they want, or maybe they don't have a lot of clarity around it, but feel guilty. I don't know about you ladies, but I've been in this role. I am even still in this role. I find myself sometimes taking things for myself and feeling like, oh, is that too much? Or, oh, should I offer it back in the same capacity?
Yeah.
I've gotten myself into trouble so many times with that guilty mode of one of the things that I would do as a recovering people pleaser myself is I would overextend myself to other people, and then I would feel upset when you didn't offer the same thing back to me.
Mm,
You didn't even ask for it in the first place.
yeah.
So it was the cycle that I was putting myself in. And by way of all of that, certainly feeling guilty for asking for the things that I needed and taking the time for myself. I think that women are always finding themselves in a place where they are trying to do all the roles. They're trying to keep up with all the things.
Mm.
They are overcompensating for areas in their life where they see, oh, this needs to be a little bit more, or I wish this was like it. And we take it all and put it right on our shoulders.
Yeah.
And for us to not do that all the time, incessantly all day long, you feel guilty. You feel like, oh, why should I not be overperforming
Yeah.
constantly? Wake up and start overperforming. And I think one of the things, Soleil, I feel like one of the ways that we always talk about to navigate that feeling of guilt is you have to start somewhere. Take a little bit at a time. Soleil and I talk about this all the time as new moms and wives and business owners. We will start with something really small. So we'll be like, girl, I had to take that walk today and I had to go by myself. The husband can keep the baby. I need to be
Mhm.
with me. Soleil loves a spa day, right? So it's
Oh,
like
me
take
too.
that one
What?
day. Yes, take the one day. Don't
By
feel
yourself.
guilty. Remind yourself by yourself. Don't call, turn your phone on D&D. Remind yourself about all the reasons why you deserve it and let that guilt subside a little bit.
Yeah. And
One piece at a time.
yeah, even what you said, Ari, about like women taking on so much and maybe not knowing how to prioritize their needs or themselves, I think it comes from like childhood because
Mm,
we're taught as little girls to be liked.
yeah.
Like we have to consistently be the nice, be accommodating, be agreeable.
Yeah. Be the
We're not
good girl. Yeah,
be the
absolutely.
good
Girl.
girl. You're almost punished if you're anything other than the good girl. If you're
Yeah.
angry, if you're sad, if you're, and oftentimes I see what goes, this is going to be a funny thing, but what happens when women are more assertive or more protective of what they need, they're often called, you're being masculine, you're
Mm.
not being feminine.
Or the
So,
B word. You get the
yeah,
B word
you're
a
being
lot.
You can
exactly.
say it. You can say it if you want it.
Yeah, you're being, and the thing is, there is such a, now I'm like having a breakthrough. Actually, I'm also like diving into this as well. But there is such a society will take away love and appreciation if you're not the good girl. If you're
Mm.
aggressive, if you're protective, if you're assertive, you compromise your femininity if you embrace those qualities. Can you believe that?
Yeah, it's crazy. If you're not agreeable and you don't give absolutely everything that you can and put other people's happiness and well-being before yours, then like you say, you get punished, you get called selfish or like you say, aggressive or yeah, it's crazy when you talk about it like that, how much we've been doctored into this way of thinking and that's just like a thing now. Like we just accept it, except we don't because obviously there's people like you and I and there's definitely people waking up to that. But if it's something but you've been conditioned to think since childhood, a lot of the time, as you guys will know, we're doing a lot of things on autopilot, aren't we? We don't necessarily realize where that conditioning is coming in or why we're responding in a certain way or why we are feeling guilty saying no when it's absolutely reasonable for us to say no to whatever it is. So yeah, like,
Programmed for guilt.
yeah,
Yeah.
big time. So what do you think that people often misunderstand about boundaries? What do you tend to find that people think like a boundary is or isn't, or what's going to happen if they set boundaries? What do you think people often misunderstand about it? Soleil, do you want to take that one or
Okay, great. Yeah. So, what do people misunderstand about boundaries? I love my father, and I'm going to bring him up because he's the best person to talk about this question. But in his generation, boundaries seems like there is a level of distance in the relationship. But what boundaries are utilized is so that you guys form a relationship with the foundation of respect and love and prioritizing each other's needs,
yeah.
right? I actually said on Ari and I were talking one time, if someone doesn't respect your boundaries, they don't respect you. If you feel like you're going to lose love
Mm,
from that's a very conditional relationship, right? So people think boundaries is just going to create distance and create space, but it's actually creating a healthier relationship. Because my father always goes, oh, I hate boundaries. I hate boundaries. And I had to communicate and I had to say boundaries doesn't mean that we aren't close or we wouldn't do a lot for each other. It's just the fact that I have to honor what I need and communicate what I need so I can be healthy moving forward.
mhm.
And I had to ask, I was like, don't you want me to feel healthy and be able to give what I can versus trying to use the energy in the back burner, and then all of a sudden I'm in burnout. You don't want me in burnout. So I think there needs to be an understanding of why boundaries are placed and how we can respect each other and love each other and know that no love will be compromised
Yeah.
from having boundaries.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not a block, it's not a wall, which is what I think a lot of people say is, I want this distance from you. I don't want to give you something. That's not what it is. Like you say, it's more about saying, this is what I can do. This is how far I can go into this. Or this is how much I can give you
I can invest.
versus no. Do you know what I mean? No, do it, pulling up that wall of just saying, no, I don't want this. I don't want you. Like I say, I think people often think it's like maybe if they're going to be come across as like rude or selfish or mean that you don't care, and that isn't the case at all.
You're not being selfish because the reality is that if you don't prioritize your needs, no one is coming to save you.
Mm.
No one is coming to say, I'm going to prioritize your needs and put you before everything for myself. No, people are meant to prioritize their needs and prioritize their health and prioritize their mental health and physical health, everything, to prioritize their goals. That's your role.
Mm.
The responsibility is not for anyone else.
Yeah, absolutely. So, from an emotional intelligence perspective, then, what's really happening when I know we've touched on it a little bit, but what's really happening when we avoid setting boundaries or we fall into people pleasing?
Like we mentioned, this is a bit of our programming kind of rearing its ugly head, right? We are coming from a place of not feeling worthy to put your needs first, to pay attention to what is the thing that's best for you, and then meet someone in the middle. And what that does is it creates conditional relationships. And that's a
Mhm.
problem for you. That's a problem for them.
Yeah.
If you are always doing something to meet someone else's need before yours, you'll feel the effects of that over time. It might not happen right at first. It might be something that you established from childhood and it sits for a lot of years, but you'll feel the effects of it and realize that's something that is taking a toll on you. The real issue around this is that you are not what Soleil and I call being positively selfish. You are not establishing, this is who I am. I'm set firm in that version of myself. I claim it powerfully. I love me. I put myself first, but that doesn't make you last, right?
Mhm.
We can meet each other in the middle and compromise. Relationships are all about compromise. Boundaries are about compromise. Like you said, Rosie, it's not like a firm no.
Yeah.
That's not what a boundary is. That's a misunderstanding about a boundary. A boundary is, this is where my needs are. Tell me where your needs are, and let's figure out how we can co-create through communication and relationship in a respectful manner. And so what is a really important part of this whole process is for you to understand what your needs are, be firm in that, be positive in your selfishness. We think of it as such a bad thing, and it's like,
Mm.
the only way for me to build my value, understand who I am, love myself, appreciate myself, is for me to stand strong in who I am and what I allow and don't allow around me. Another synonym that we use a lot of times with boundaries is standards.
Yeah.
Your standard is set, and then your boundary is the thing that respects your standard. Right.
Mhm.
And so if you understand what your standard is around something, it makes it almost easier for you to set a boundary to say, oh, when you cross
Mm.
this line, I don't feel good about that.
Yeah.
And it's okay for you to say that. Like we said here before, setting a boundary, setting a standard, communicating your needs, you will create unconditional love in relationships where people are there because they love you for who you stand strong in, who you are.
Mm.
And there's nothing more powerful than that. I was just going to say, this is the place for us to all operate from around this, is to start with understanding that your needs are important and need to be established and respected.
Yeah.
You can speak on who you are and know that is okay for you to have a very strong set of, you could make a list of adjectives if that's something that helps you create that definition, and that you will create stronger relationships by upholding those things and asking for what you need through boundaries.
Yeah.
Yeah. You said who you are. And that really struck me because I believe people don't really understand that when you're people pleasing, you don't have any boundaries, you lose who you are because you build your identity solely based on what other people need. And this was such a big revolutionary moment in my early 20s because I realized I was growing up as a people pleaser and I completely formed my whole identity around it. I wanted to make sure that the other person felt good about me, and that's the fuel I was running with. And that guilt came in if that person felt an ugly emotion towards me if I needed to uphold a boundary. So you lose your identity. If you lose your strength, your sense of self, if you're not, but maybe that you lose it, you actually form it around what other people think.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think losing it does make sense to a degree because you're
Mhm.
not, like I say, you're not living from the standards or the things that you need or the values that you're shaped by or the thing you like you say the things that you're trying to do. You're living it based on the happiness of other people, and eventually you are going to lose yourself, even if it's just in that moment. Over time, that is what's going to happen. You're going to
Yeah.
say, what is it that I actually need? What is it that makes me happy? How do I know what my standards are anymore? Because I've just constantly been stretching them. So could you, one of you, walk us through, or both, walk through a simple way to recognize when a boundary is needed, especially in everyday situations like work, family, friendships, relationships, because boundaries are needed for happiness and confidence in all areas of our life, aren't they?
I love this question. And we actually have a workshop that we teach to young girls about like how to identify your boundaries. And remember, Ari, we taught when you are angry in a situation, it's because your boundary has been crossed.
Mm.
Even if you're unaware of it, even if you don't know what the boundary is, as soon as your body gets angry, it's because you're protecting yourself. Your survival
Mm.
mode is kicking in. And we run away from anger, especially people pleasers.
Yeah.
People pleasers tend to run away from anger because they don't want to feel that negative emotion.
Yeah.
And but the thing is, if we learn from it, we take the opportunity to learn, we can understand, oh, what boundary is being crossed right now in this moment? I know it's easier when you're angry to go punch a wall or go deal with it or isolate it, but I really invite people to just breathe, be in it, and ask yourself, why are you angry? What boundary has been crossed? What has been done? And use that information so that you can move forward in your life and know that I'm uncomfortable with this and I have to protect myself so this doesn't happen.
Yeah. So the anger part, yeah, I can definitely see that. Is it along the lines of the fight, flight, freeze kind of fawn response? Like you say, it's your body's like nervous system and safety response going either like you say fight like it's made something angry, or I guess it could probably be the same for like upset or scared or something along those lines where something has breached it and your internal brain part that's gone, yeah, that safety thing is going ding ding ding, like this doesn't feel good.
But it's our body trying to survive. Fight, flight, fawn, those are our bodies trying to survive in the situation,
Yeah.
right? It's trying to get a comfortable foundation. So sometimes if we just sit in it and we think about, okay, what's really going on? What boundary is being crossed? You will get a lot of information.
And one of the things that we highlight at Equality Education, which is the skill that requires practice, these are all skills that require practice. Don't think you're going to come in and get it right the first time. You're going to do it 100 times and still do the same thing. Over communicate. What over communicate means is it's a process that happens internally and then externally. And when we're first learning how to identify and understand your emotions, you have to check in with yourself a bunch of times, because when you're angry, oftentimes the initial thing is reaction, right? So
Mhm.
I scream or I get defensive or I curl and run away. I fight or flight, right? And what you want to do is ask yourself, like Soleil said, why do I feel like this? Why did that person's behavior, their words cause this reaction in me to feel anger? That will give you clarity to start off with, right? And then we want you to over communicate externally with the other person. And so, what that looks like is for you to speak what you're feeling, put a name to the emotion, explain why you're feeling that way. Oftentimes, I will ask, this is the next level thing in relationships that will change your life. Take responsibility first before placing blame on the other person to see how you both can do better next time. I feel angry because this just happened between us. How could I approach the situation differently next time so we can have more ease in our interaction? And so what that does is that almost subliminally starts the process of setting that boundary. Where do I feel comfortable?
Mm.
Where do you feel comfortable? And how do we meet in the middle? And this can be with any emotion, right? I feel disappointed by what just happened here, right? I feel sad by what just happened. I feel disrespected. So you're over communicating, you're putting intentional thought and words behind what's happening in your body and then what comes out in between you and the person. And then you go from there, continuing to over communicate. Label the words, take it slow, take a walk, take some breaths, and let yourself speak everything that's happening instead of just reacting through anger, saying something you didn't mean, not processing why do I feel like a boundary was violated? And how can we set a boundary that works better moving forward?
Yeah, absolutely. It reminds me of something that I've been working on, both personally and with my clients, but also I mentioned we were chatting before the podcast, and I was telling Arianna about a meditation retreat that I went on, and the theme of it was wisdom, and it was about how a lot of our, or pretty much all of our suffering and problems can come down to what my meditation teacher was calling self-grasping ignorance, but it's really like the ego. And the way it made me think of that here is, like you said, we're responsible for our like feelings, our reactions, and how we think, and we need to be able to communicate those boundaries. Often, like you say, we might be like angry with others for crossing those boundaries. They're not responsible for our kind of actions and reactions. That's something that is responsible for us. And if we want to set those boundaries, if we want people to treat us a certain way, if we want to feel a certain way, we have to be the ones who recognize that and communicate that. It's not up to anybody else to manage our emotions. Yes, obviously they treat us with respect, but we have to be able to communicate to them what that is and why it is that we need it. And a lot of that, and we've touched on this already, is going to come from an essence of self-awareness. So yes, if someone has crossed your boundary, or they have made you feel a certain way, if they have made you feel upset or resentful, it's taking some time to think about, why did I react that way? What am I making this mean about me? Or where have I pushed myself too far? And understanding that the only person that can shift those feelings, those boundaries, that resentment, that anger or whatever, they're your emotions. You take responsibility and accountability for them, and you work out how it is you would like to feel and what you would need from yourself and others in order to feel that way. Cool.
100%.
Yeah.
Um, so I think you may have just touched on this already, Ariana, but is there anything further that you would add to this in terms of, we talked about earlier, the reason why people struggle to set boundaries is because they worry about damaging relationships or coming across rude or selfish. How do you help people to communicate boundaries in a way that feels clear and respectful and true and still aligned with their values? Is there anything else that you would add to that in terms of how you help people to do that?
Mirror work. I think
Mm.
that people don't understand that being able to communicate your boundaries effectively often comes from their confidence. So it's important to do those affirmations in the mirror and give yourself that love, and almost, because we always say one of the things is, are you, we question sometimes, am I worthy? Am I worthy of prioritizing my needs? Am I worthy of abundance coming in and et cetera? And once that question kind of silences in your mind and you understand your worth, you'll be able to love yourself so much to prioritize your needs. But it often is a self-esteem and a self-worth
Mm,
issue. But mirror work, definitely. I think people need to look at themselves in the mirror and tell yourself 10 things why you love yourself or why you're important, or even practice that hard conversation in the mirror so that when you reach a level of vulnerability, you don't question yourself because of a lack of self-esteem.
yeah.
You question something based on the premise of the exact situation that's going on.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's why I was so excited to do this episode and speak about this self-worth piece, because learning to set boundaries and tolerating the guilt that can come with that, even if it shouldn't, is being able to set boundaries. It is a huge self-worth issue. That is ultimately what's at the root of it is, and at the root of that guilt and the people pleasing is feeling worthy of whatever peace that gives you, or yeah, worthy of people's time or love without, like you say, those conditions, having to overwork, people please, give whatever else that piece is. And I think that's why it's so key that you start at that point of self-worth, and like I say, use things like mirror work or beliefs work or whatever it is that you do to really ground yourself in your self-worth. Know that you deserve, you're worthy of everything that you want, whether that's love, time, rest, money, friendships, whatever that is. Anything from you, Ariana, on that?
Yeah, I wanted to say any of the learners who are here tuned in and listening, especially if you've listened this far into the conversation, take this as your sign that you are worthy of all of the things that we are talking about. Even if you've gone through different phases in your life getting to this place right now, this is your sign for you to start having these conversations with yourself, get to know her better, figure out the things that you love and your preferences and your standards. Remind yourself in the mirror, remind yourself with the background on your screen or your laptop or whatever. Put it in places where you can practice, and know that you are the most important person in your life. You are the main character. You might have love that you give out into a lot of relationships. Not that those people are unimportant, but you are the one that matters the most. Your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions determine all of the outcomes in your life. Prioritize that so you can live a life that feels good and you are continually discovering your greatness. Boundaries is the place to start. Soleil and I are walking proof that boundaries will change your whole life. I actually call in our conversations with each other, I call myself the boundaries bitch. I wear it proud.
I love it.
I do not compromise things that help me live a better life because I know I am worth it. And if we are worth it, you are worth it. Take this as your sign. Start practicing boundaries today. Find a safe person, do it together, and it'll change your life, I promise. And if you don't, reach out to us and be like, girl, this did not work. I need help. Please tell me something else to
You can
do. And
hold
we
them to
got you.
account. She's given you your sign,
Hello.
and if it didn't work,
Yeah,
no, I love that.
absolutely.
I love that point so much though, because I think the whole kind of setting boundary thing, it definitely talked about a lot in my world. And I don't know if it's because I'm in the personal development and obviously confidence coaching world. This isn't just some fluffy, love yourself, you are top level, you are worthy stuff. Like I say, setting boundaries really does have the ability to change your life for the better on so many levels and in so many situations. So whether we're talking work, family, friendships or relationships, it is literally life changing and life shifting. This isn't just oh, it would be great if you could do this. It literally does change your life. And I think that's like a really important message. So thank you for that. So we're coming up to then the part of the lesson where I ask you to give us the takeaway. So this is what you would want our listeners or our students today, if they were to remember just one lesson about boundaries from today. I know you've just given us your big soapbox moment, Ariana, so you might want to just underline that. But is there anything else that you would, if they were coming away and they were to remember that one sentence, what would you want it to be?
I want to give a disclaimer really quickly that comes from my personal experience. And I know Soleil's personal experience as well. You can share if you want. You will face challenges due to enforcing boundaries. Don't take this as
Period. Period. Wait, rewind. That is a fact. Period. Yes.
we've lost relationships. We've been looked at unfavorably. We felt the pain of love lost from conditional exchanges
Uh,
with people. Don't take that as the thing that makes you stop practicing boundaries. Push through those challenging moments because those people were not worthy of sharing in your greatness, anyways. Even though it feels like a relationship that was very important or met needs in certain ways, if they can't respect you respecting yourself, they are not worth it. I just want to give that disclaimer because you will come up against it. I don't want you to be surprised. I don't want you to get that email where you're like, you didn't tell me it was going to be this hard. It's challenging and it's so worth it. And that's why it does change your life in such a powerful way. And get with other people who are practicing the same things because it'll make it so much easier for you guys to share
Mm.
that self-respect together.
I kind of love that actually. It's a takeaway. It's challenging, but it's worth it because for the takeaway, like they already know that they need to be setting better boundaries and that they probably deserve it. So we don't need that to be the takeaway. But actually, if we're just going to be a bit real about it, you probably are going to come up against and you might lose some friendships or relationships or situationships or whatever. My acquaintances might struggle from it, but it's worth it. Push through that discomfort and push through any of those shifts that changes that might work because ultimately a happier, healthier you is on the other side. Cool. And now is the homework, the practical step. So I'd love it if you could give our listeners, our students, one simple action or reflection or something that they could try this week to start setting those boundaries without feeling guilty. Who wants to set it?
One practical step. I think the first step is in order to have boundaries, you got to know what you're protecting. The first step is to acknowledge what you need. I think we never really ask ourselves, what do I need physically, mentally, emotionally, financially from relationships? What makes me feel at ease and my nervous system feel comfortable?
Mm.
As a lot of times when we're not protecting our boundaries, we get into very frustrated situation and our nervous system goes into, again, what we say is fight or flight or goes into a reaction. But we need to ask ourselves, I would really urge people to write down, take the 8 areas of your life. We teach a workshop on the 8 areas of your life. And what do you ask yourself? What do you need? Because now you know what you're protecting.
Yeah. So the able to life, is that like the wheel of life? So it's like social life, work, family, relationships, yeah, stuff like that. And ask yourself what you need. And I
Mhm.
think another great tip that we all speak about before we jumped on as well, and you briefly mentioned just before Arianna as well, was around finding somebody, identifying a boundary. So once you've done that awareness exercise, because like you said, you need to be aware of where what it is that you need or where your boundaries are being crossed or where your needs aren't being met because of boundaries being crossed, having that information first and then finding somebody that you trust, that you have a solid relationship with, that you can practice putting boundaries in place with someone you like you say that you feel safe with, which I think was a great idea as well. So
That's so true. That
mm,
is so, we don't recognize how important relationships are. Relationships have so much power that it could be healing or it could be damaging, right? So oftentimes, Ari, how many times I have a situation going on and I talk to you and I'm like, am I crazy, girl? Sometimes getting that, like, that feedback from someone that you know is a writer for you, someone that wants you to respect yourself and get all the things that you need. Getting that feedback is so helpful because you stand so much firm in your decision. And Ari, I don't know, we're co-founders, but she was also my best friend. She's my girl. So I'll be coming to her and I'll be like, look, like this is what's happening. And I feel that feedback of I'm gonna stand my ground and feel confident in that.
Yeah.
And that's an exercise in itself. I think sometimes when people look around and they check who's around them and who is really 100% on your team because they want to see you win unconditionally. If you don't have anybody around you, that should be something that highlights the need for this work initially off top. And just so you guys have a free resource in this, Soleil and I have a platform within Equality Education is us as friends who want you to win 100% unconditionally. We are your friends who want you to win. We want to celebrate it with you. We want you to live your best life because it feels so good. And we want to share that with everybody. If you look around and there's no one around you and you need someone to talk to, jump in our DMs, send us an email, go to the website and fill out the form and tell us what's going on in your world. Like we really do want to share that love with people and help people discover their greatness. And if you don't have anybody, now you have 2. 3, Rosie. I bet you're in that category too.
Absolutely.
Period.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Awesome. So if anyone listening wants to find out more about what you do, I know you have very kindly offered access to one of your free workshops. Can you tell us a little bit about who it's for, what it helps them do? And we'll share a link in the show notes for anybody that would like to sign up.
Absolutely. We teach live workshops every month on a wide range of emotional intelligence skills that help you live your greatness. We are interested to connect with women from all walks of life who love a conversation like this and want to have another one. We're offering it for free because you guys are a part of Rosie's community and we want to help everyone win. That's the mission here. So we want you to join us where we'll teach you more of these skills. We always give like takeaways and hands-on things that you can start practicing right away. And the topics change month to month. So you can just tap in and find out what we have going on.
Awesome. So we'll share your email address in the show notes and they can drop you a line to find out what's coming up.
Yeah. And they could just say, hey, I heard this episode on the Self-Worth podcast.
Yeah.
And I joined the workshop. Great. No problem.
Awesome. Thank you so much, both of you. And thank you so much for your time and words. Honestly, I've enjoyed this conversation so much. I love hanging out with you all. So yeah, just huge thank you for being our guest teachers today. And have a great rest of your day, both of you.
You too.
Rosie, you too. Thanks for having us.
So there you have it, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that lesson today. I think one of the most important reminders that I'll be taking from that conversation is the fact that boundaries are really about a way of staying connected to yourself, and that when you set boundaries from a place of self-worth, you're not being selfish, you're being clear, you're being honest, and you're creating the conditions for relationships that are based on respect and not resentment. So if this episode helped you see your guilt, your people pleasing, or your anger in a new way, I hope that you let that awareness guide you this week. Even one small boundary can be a huge, powerful act of self-trust. Like we said in the episode, Arianna and Soleil have generously offered free access to one of their live emotional intelligence workshops where they teach practical tools for things like boundary setting, communication, self-awareness, self-worth. You'll find details, or you can sign up and get more info by emailing them. I'll put the email address in the show notes. And if today's conversation has made you realise that boundaries, confidence and self-worth are areas that you want to strengthen more deeply, you're always welcome to explore working with me either through one-to-one coaching or through my Self-Worth Project membership. All the links that you need are in the show notes. So until next time, keep choosing yourself, keep listening to what you need, and remember, the more that you know your worth, the easier it becomes to honour it. Have a great day.